Barb from Snail Mail Studio, and it's been a while since I've made a video. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been a card maker and rubber stamper for about 20 years now, and I totally love the craft. But what I've been doing recently is I've been creating digital designs to incorporate in some of my card making, and I wanted to come on and share those with you. That way you're able to make cards without the big investment of buying a lot of stamps. Now, I absolutely love buying stamps. In fact, I probably have way too many, but things are getting tighter. Everything is getting more expensive, and my husband and I are thinking about retiring in a few years. So I have to kind of pull back a little. And to supplement my hobby, I have started designing digital images. And I'm going to share with you the two cards, I'm sorry, that I have made and using my digital images. And then I've also made a candy bar wrapper, and I'm just going to quickly show you how I have done those. And everything that I'm showing you on these videos is free for you to get somewhere. So this image, you can go to my blog, which is snailmailstudio.blogspot.com, and you can print it out like I've done here. I have this printed out at FedEx, and it's real easy to do. There's a video on the right-hand sidebar to show you how to do that if you have not done that before or need some help. But I'd like to just quickly go over how I made these cards, and you can really do anything with the images that you want, but this is just giving you a little bit of an idea as to what you can do. So let's go down to the craft table and get started. Okay, so here I am, and I'm going to start by cutting the images that I want to use, and I'm going to start, I think, with the candy bar. I wrote down the sizes that I made each image of for the 3 items that I have here. You can make them any size that you want, but my candy bar is 3 inches by 2 inches. And I'm just going to simply cut that. You can use a paper trimmer if you have one, but it's really not necessary, especially for these smaller items. And on the blog, I do have instructions on how I printed these out at FedEx. So if you need some help with that, you can check out that video. It's on the right-hand sidebar. But what I wanted to do is I have a sweet friend that I would love to make a candy bar that's wrapped for Valentine's Day. And I didn't really want it to say Happy Valentine's Day. And that's what I really like about these is it sort of alludes to Valentine's Day, but it's just for my sweet friend. So the first thing you're going to need is a standard candy bar. It's 1.55 ounces, and I just picked it up at Walmart for less than $1.50. And I gave you the dimensions here for that. And the paper that I'm wrapping it with, and you can use any paper that you want. Oh, I wanted to go over that. But the paper that I'm wrapping it with just came from Michael's or Joann's, and it's actually inexpensive paper. It's not the heavier, nicer papers that you might get like from Stampin' Up, but this is really nice because it bends easily. So if you're going to be wrapping a candy bar, the cheaper the better. So this piece is 6 inches by 6.5 inches, and the part that's 6 is going to go across the top of the candy bar. Now what I did was just flip them over, and I did want to talk a little bit about adhesive. This is some that I was gifted by a friend at church, and it works really well. But If you don't have a friend who gives you free adhesives, this is one thing that I really like. It is by Pen & Gear, which is Walmart's brand, and it's double-sided tape, and this is just over $2, and I buy 3 or 4 at a time. Now, it is a little difficult. It's not difficult to pull, but it can be a little difficult to tear. And if you're making just a few cards, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're making a lot of cards, you might want to consider a tape dispenser, which I believe I got this at Walmart too. And it works very well with the tape dispenser. But for speed, I'm just going to use my Easy Stick. And what I did here so that it wouldn't get loose is I put a strip of adhesive along there, and I'm just going to wrap that around. And I'm going to do over here. And I'm going to bring that around. Easy peasy. Now, the size isn't super important. You obviously wouldn't want it to be too big for a candy bar, but what I'm just going to do is take my printable, stick it on here, and then I'm going to trim it. Now you can use any combination of paper and cardstock that you want, whether it's something that you have or something that you have to go out and buy. And I am going to just tilt that a little and stick it on there. And the next thing that I'm going to do is, tweezers. The next thing that I'm going to do to give it a little bit more bling and dimension is to put a few of these pink rhinestones. They're self-adhesive, and I find it easiest to use tweezers and grab them and pull them to the side. So that's how I made that. Super simple. The next card that I wanted to show you is a sweet Mother's Day card for my mom. And I chose the pink and the black. I really do like working with black a lot. I think it really makes things pop. So this one I'm going to use, this is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So it's 5.5 by 8.5. I wrote 4 1/4, but when you fold it, it'll be 4 1/4. So it's half of an 8.5 by 11. And I'm just going to come up here and quickly fold it. If I need a little bit firmer crease, I will take my scissors and do that. And with this one, for my sweet mother, this one I made 3 3/4 by 2.5. Now, when you are sizing these, I do go into a little bit more detail on another video as to how to size them when you are putting them in a document that you're getting ready to print out. Sometimes the size is important, but other times it's not. If you do 4 up on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you're probably pretty good for most of these cards. Now, my mom isn't too much of a frilly person. I did like the flowers, but I chose to flip this and use the striped side. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4, which is 1/4 of an inch shorter all the way around than the pink that I'm going to be mounting it on. Oops. And I'm simply going to put that on there. And now this is just a doily that I think I got from Michael's or Joann's. They are probably quite readily available. And it might be called a coaster size doily. But I've had these for a while, but you could use a heart-shaped doily or something like that would work well. Now, what I'm going to do here is just glue that on and give it a frame. you'll see almost everything that I make, I put a frame on. That's just my style. I really like framing things because I think it just really makes the object pop, especially if it's like a big contrast like the pink and the black. Now for this one, what I did to add a little bit more dimension, because I'm not going to be mailing it, I took this, and you can see on here, I use these pretty thick dimensionals. And I use them because I'm just going to be hand delivering this to my mom. If I were to be mailing it, you would have to use a non-machinable stamp, and they run about $1.20 or something like that. So you might not want to use these thick dimensionals. You don't really need to use dimensionals at all. I'm just doing it because number one, I had them, and number two, just to show you some different ideas that you can do that don't cost a lot of money, that you don't have to buy, invest a lot like in stamps or ink. And that's really the goal of my crafting these videos, is to encourage people to make cards without spending a lot of money. And this dimensionals are definitely a way to do that. And they come a lot thinner too, but I'm going to use up these thick ones, and I'm just going to put that at an angle. And again, I'm going to come in with 3 rhinestones. Now these rhinestones, again, these are available at Michael's, Joann's, and probably the Dollar Tree. And that's a super simple card. I usually include a liner in my cards, even if it's a light color cardstock. I just think that it looks a lot nicer, and it's definitely easier for the person to read. And the liner is 4 by 5 1/4. And again, it's 1/4 of an inch shorter, so it still has a little frame around it. So that was my Sweet Mother's card. And then lastly, this one is for my husband, and I wanted to make him a bigger card, so I chose a 5 by 7, and I'm going to use this. And when I put it in this document, I did grab it and pull it to where it was 5 inches across. This one is 5 by 3 1/4. And I'm just going to quickly cut that. And again, one of the things that you definitely want to keep in mind is that these are homemade cards, and if your cutting isn't perfectly straight, that actually adds to the beauty of the card, I think. You know, you're not trying to really compete with something that came from the store. So don't worry about being perfect. Now, since I have this here, I'll go over this. The card base itself, which is the entire card, is black, and I cut it 7 inches by 10 inches. And I've already scored it with my scoring tool, but you don't have to do that. You can just fold it and go over it with the scissors to give it a nice firm fold. Now, what I've done here, again, to give it a little more dimension on the front, I have cut a piece of paper that's 1/4 inch bigger at the top and the bottom. So it's 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And that's going to make like a little frame for this card here. There we go. And again, it's not perfect. You can see it kind of goes off there a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal at all. Now, to give this even a little bit more dimension, we've got, this is sort of like triple framed, black, red, and patterned paper. And your second piece of paper is going to be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And again, you can use any colors that you want. You don't have to worry if you don't have something in black, or as long as, one of the things that I encourage people to do is to do your printing first and then go to the store and buy your paper if you do need to go out and buy paper, because that way you can match your colors. But if you have paper at home, that would be just as good. Now my third sheet here is 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And again, this is patterned paper on both sides. This is some Stampin' Up! Paper that I really think is pretty. But because it's for hubby, I don't want to get too flowery on him. So I'm going to put that on the back and this design on the front. And then this here is going to just go right on top. And, you know, if you wanted to, you could put it like that, or up high, or down low, or right in the middle. I'm doing it sort of just a little bit more up like that. Oop. And if it slips, then we'll just take it down a little bit. So there we have that. And I am going to skip the rhinestones on his because, I don't know, guys don't really like that stuff as much. But I do want to include a liner. So in here, we have 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and it's just simply a white sheet of paper. I buy my white cardstock at Michael's, and with a coupon or a sale, it's very reasonable. And that's just going to go right in there. So for not too much money and not too much time, I have made a sweet husband card, a mother card, and a friend candy bar. So I hope you enjoyed these videos. And I do have a lot of printables on my blog. It's snailmailstudio.blogspot.com. And just leave me a note and let me know what you've made with them. So thank you so much for watching today. Bye-bye.